Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to talk about comparison and Boolean operators in C++, so let's get into it. So as the name indicates, comparison operators allow you to compare expressions or compare values, and they always return you a Boolean value. So you could say something like bool x equals 10 is smaller than 30, and then cout x like so. So if I run this, this is going to output 1. So 1 in C++, as you already know, is equal to true, and 0 is equal to false. So basically what I did here is I created a variable called x, which is going to be a Boolean value, and it's going to equal 10 is smaller than 30. So 10 is obviously smaller than 30, and so x is going to equal true. And so when you cout x, it's going to cout 1, right? It's going to output 1 because 1 is equal to true in C++. Now you could also say something like 10 is greater than 30, and in this case that is not true, and so this is going to output 0, which means false. So these signs, the smaller and the greater, they are strictly smaller and strictly greater. So when you just write this, then 10 needs to be strictly greater than 30 for this to be true. But when you say greater or equal, then if 10 is greater or equal to 30, this is going to equal true. So if I say something like x equals 10 is greater or equal to 10, then this is going to output 1, which is true, right? Because 10 is equal to 10. And if I just say 10 is strictly greater than 10, then this is going to be 0 because this is obviously false, since 10 is the same as 10. And you can also say smaller or equal to. So 10 is equal to 10, and so this is going to output true as well. So you can also check if these values are the same using this operator right here, which is two plus signs together. Now the reason you're using, sorry, not plus signs, equal signs. Now the reason you're using two equal signs is because when you use two equal signs, that is the comparison operator. So when you use two equal signs, you're comparing two values, you're assessing whether 10 is equal to 10 or not. And when you use just one equal sign, then that's the assignment operator. So you're assigning a certain value to the variable x using one equal sign, and you're comparing the values 10 and 10 using these two equal signs. So this is obviously going to be true. And now you can also say 10 is not equal to 10. So this is going to output false. So those are all of the operators that exist, sorry, the comparison operators that exist in C++. Now, I've only done these operations with integers, right, to this moment, but what do you think happens when you compare characters, right? So if I say x equals a is not equal to b, then this is obviously going to output true, right? Because a is not equal to b. But what if I say a is smaller than b? What do you think is going to happen? So this is actually going to output true, right? Because A is smaller than B. Now, why does this happen? Because it doesn't even make sense to compare characters, because characters don't really have a value that can indicate whether one is greater or equal or smaller than another character. Well, it turns out they actually do, because there's something called the ASCII table. And the ASCII table basically assigns a certain value to every key in your keyboard. So every key in your keyboard actually has a value, and based on those values, the computer can assess whether a character is smaller or greater than another character. So let me pull up the ASCII table real quick. So this is the ASCII table. As you can see, each key has a value, and if you go look for the lowercase a and the lowercase b, they are right here. As you can see, the lowercase a has a value of 97, the lowercase b has a value of 98, and so when you say a is smaller than b, that is going to be true because a has a value of 97 in the ASCII table, and the b has a value of 98 in the ASCII table. So the last thing about comparison operators that I want to talk about is that you can actually also compare strings. So if I compare an empty string like this with a string with a space, then this is going to cout 0, right? Because this is false. An empty string is not equal to a string with a space. And if I say something like hello, and then in here I put hello, but with a capital O, then these are not going to be equal as well because one has a lowercase o, the other one has a capital O. And if I just say hello equals hello, then this is going to be true. Okay, so now let's move on to Boolean operators. So probably the easiest operator is just the not. So the not is the exclamation point, and it basically just flips the value of a certain expression. So if I say cout not true, so exclamation point true, and I run this, then this is going to output false, right? It's going to output 0 because when I use not, I flipped the value of true into a false, and so when I cout not true, it's cout at false, right? And if I say like something like not 2 is smaller than 3, then 2 is not smaller than 3, so this is going to be false. So when I say not that, this is going to return, oops, well, I got an error. Let me just see what it is. No match for operand. Oh, okay. I have to put parentheses here. I forgot about that because what I'm saying is that I want to flip this whole expression. If I didn't have the parentheses, I would just be saying not 2 is smaller than 3, and I don't want to say that. I want to say not 2 is smaller than 3. So the whole expression has to be flipped. So now if I run this, it should work. Yes, it does. So this is going to output 0, which is false because 2 is smaller than 3. And so that's going to be true. So when I flip it, it's false. So now let's talk about the and the or Boolean operator. So both of these operators have the function of concatenating expressions together and maybe play out a role in deciding their logical value. So they are also going to return Boolean values, just like the comparison operators. So let me say something like bool x equals 2 is smaller than 1 and 2 is greater than 0. So if I cout x, this is going to output false. Now, the reason this is going to output false is because the AND operator has this property that says that only if both of the expressions that are being put together by this operator are true, only if both of them are true, is it going to return true. So 2 is not smaller than 1. So this is going to be false, although 2 is greater than 0. This whole expression is going to be false because the AND operator only returns true when both of the expressions are true. So if I flip this to be a greater sign and I run this, now this is going to output true because both of these expressions are true, okay? And even if one expression is true and the other is false, this is also going to return false. If both of them are false, it's obviously going to be false. Only if both of them are true is this going to be true, okay? And now the next operator is the OR operator. Oh, wait, before we talk about the OR operator, let me just say that instead of and, you can also write two like commercial ands like this. This is equivalent to saying and, okay? So let me comment this. So and is equal to two commercial and. So if I run this, this is going to output the same thing. So let me create another variable which is going to be y. So y is going to be equal to 2 is smaller than 1 or 2 is greater than 1. Okay, now if I cout y, and let me comment this out so that it doesn't get too confusing. So if I run this, this is going to output true. So as you can see, 2 is not smaller than 1, but 2 is greater than 1. So this is going to output true because the OR operator returns true if either of the expressions are true or both of them are true. So it's like the opposite of the AND. Instead of returning true only if both of them are true, it only returns false if both of them are false, okay? In this case, since one is true, although the other is false, the OR is going to return true. And just like the AND, the OR also has a different way to be represented, which is with these, I don't know what these are called, but they're like straight slashes, if you will. So this is also OR. So let me comment here, OR equals these two slashes. Okay, so why would you want to use all of these operators that I've been teaching you? So all of these are used mostly in if statements. So let me give you an example. So let me say if, actually, let me create a variable which is an integer. Let's not initialize it. Let's cin x. So this is going to be inputted by the user. I'm going to create another variable which is y. So cin y. Now let me say if x is smaller than y and x is equal to 10, then I want to see out x. Else if x is smaller than 12 or y is equal to 0, then I want to see out y. Okay, so this is a lot. I understand that it's a lot, but let me run this and show you what happens. So first it asks me to input two values. So let's input 10 and 17. Notice that this outputs 10. So what is happening here? So first of all, I've inputted the two values, and then it checks whether x is smaller than y, which it is, and x is equal to 10, which it is. And the and returns true if both of the expressions are true. This is true, and so this is going to be true. And since this condition is checked, this is going to see out x, and it's not going to go to this if statement. If it did go to this if statement, it would check if x is smaller than 12 or y is equal to 0. So if x is smaller than 12, it would see out y, or y is equal to 0, it would see out y. Now we can make this even more interesting by adding an and here. So and x is smaller than y, for example. And in order to do this, I have to put parentheses around this expression, and this whole expression and this expression are the expressions that are going to be used with the and operator. So basically what's going to happen is first this condition is going to be checked, x is smaller than 12 or y is equal to 0, and only if this entire expression and this expression are true is the and operator going to return true. So only if both of these, this whole expression and this expression are true, is this going to be executed. So let me run this, and let me say 12, and then for example 19, then this is not going to output anything because none of these are correct, right? X is not smaller than y. Actually, x is smaller than y, but it's not equal to 10, and so this is going to output false. X is not smaller than 12, and y is not equal to 0, so this is not going to be true. Since this is not true, this whole expression is not true, and so none of these are going to be executed. And you can also use the not operator. So if I say not here, this whole expression is going to be flipped. So if I input the same values, 12 and 19, now this is going to produce an output because I basically flipped this value around, right? This was returning false because both x is not smaller than 12 and y is not equal to 0, so this is false. And then I flipped its value, so this is now equal to true, and this is also true, so this is going to be executed. So I think that's all I had to show you about comparison and Boolean operators. Now, before we finish, let me just mention something that I forgot to do in the last video, which was about if and else statements. So when you have only one command inside of an if statement, you don't need curly braces. So if I just delete this, then this is still inside of the if statement, even though there are no curly braces around it. And I can even put it like right next to it like this. Since there's only one command, this is going to be interpreted by the program as being inside of the if statement. But again, it only works if you have only one command. So for example, in this statement, if I add x plus equals 10, then I cannot remove the curly braces, because if I remove the curly braces, only this is going to be interpreted as being inside of the if statement. This is not. So if I just do this, then this is inside of the if statement, but this is not. So be very careful with that. This only works when you only have one command inside of your if statement. Okay, so I think that's all I have to show you today. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to help support the channel. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.